Well, hello and welcome to the bunker, to the Wheelhouse. We have a very special episode for you today. We are so lucky to have the Vines in town. We've got Bre and Jay, of course, e-sport aficionados. Jay's the world champion and Bre is, I tell you what, 1 in a million in the esports world. And of course, Jay, you've had a bit of success this year. Just a little bit on the Grand Tour. It's so good to have you here, guys.
Yeah, thanks for having us out. It's coincidental that we're both in the same state.
I know. How good is that? I mean,
worked out well.
You realise we're located, the bunker's in Queensland. You're a Queenslander, Jay.
Yes. As much as ACT would like to claim me.
Lies, you are ACT.
I started riding in the ACT, but yes, I'm...
But you started your life in Queensland.
Majority of my life in Queensland, yes.
Well, it's been a massive year for you guys. From esports worlds at the beginning, Jay, of course, you took the rainbow jersey, and Bre just outside the top 10.
Yeah.
But without a drop chain, you would have been a lot closer to the top 5.
Yeah.
So that was a little bit of a bummer. Jay, you've gone on to win some Grand Tour stages, plural. It's a lot to, just casually. It's a lot. It's a big year. It's a lot to unwind from. How's the off season going?
It was a short off season. I'm back. I was back training and riding on the 1st of November. But yeah, it was a good off season. I completely just hands off the tools for a decent bit of October.
Well, it's funny that you say that, though, because tools, bikes, hands off that. But you had your hands on some other tools and you dobbed yourself in. We saw a photo of you on a mower.
Yes.
Making sure the lawn looked beautifully groomed. There was some concreting going on.
Yeah.
Is this just your way of relaxing?
It's very interesting trying to explain to people that, like, coming from like smaller towns and sort of acreage back in Australia with my family, like I at a small age, I was, building wooden retainer walls, making monkey bars and stuff out of like wood and
being a good brother.
Yeah. Building bird cages, like welding, all that sort of stuff. I missed it when I went to Europe, like going from an acre to a 30 square metre apartment. It's a pretty big jump.
Yeah, a bit of a difference. And I mean, I know that in our household, gardening is very relaxing. So is that something that you guys come back and really enjoy doing? Like tending to the home?
Yeah, gardening not so much. The actual getting things to grow, not so much.
Yeah, we're not very good at that, are we?
But yeah, like making things, like I like, it sounds weird, but I like the aspect of I can go out and just dig a hole. No one's going to care, except for maybe my little sister who might try to jump in it. But yes.
Excellent. We'll have to get like a shovel or a spade or something in your honour in the Wheelhouse Bunker. It also would have given you some time to reflect on the incredible year that's been. So many big moments. I mean, Bre, I want to start with you. What are you most proud of from this year? Because there's a lot to choose from.
There's so much to choose from. My default would instantly be his first stage win. That was just so emotional. It was everything, and it was bound to happen at some stage. But honestly, it's the amount of work he's put in that no one's seen, and just being so dedicated all the time. Like it'll be pouring down with rain, absolutely horrible weather. I'll just jump on Zwift because it's easier. And I'll be like, I'm not pro, you go. And
that's a nice little catchphrase.
Yeah. And then, he'll just keep working, keep jumping on and pedaling. Like, it's just all these micro moments that he's worked towards. Then having that stage win was just, oh my goodness, I love it. I've watched so many replays of that moment as well. I'm 100% always going to be fangirling, I think.
Yeah, it's interesting that you use the phrase, so much that people don't see, because literally when you cross the line, Jay, people couldn't see it
yes.
because there was so much fog. But what were you thinking in that moment? Because we've actually got a photo up here in the studio, and the look on your face is just pure joy. It's honestly like the kind of look that the kids get at Christmas time, where it's just unbridled elation. I mean, what was going through your mind?
At that exact moment, it was like, I can't believe this is happening, you know? Like, I'd come second so often during the year. And, you know, I was saying to Bre before that I think I definitely needed to come second to learn my lessons in the smaller races and also learn to make those mistakes earlier on so that I didn't make the mistake in the big show at the end of the year. And it was just it's finally happened. You know, I was close last year with third, and to the way the day started, getting a puncher 2 kilometers into the race and missing the early break.
Having a good sulk.
Oh, it was the way of their emotions throughout the day were just inaudible. Like I can't explain them.
Well, what does a sulk in the middle of a Grand Tour stage look like?
It involves not talking to anyone and basically just eating your food and wishing the kilometers away. But the whole day, the sports directors were in my ear telling me, "Jay, you can still do this from the GC group," and you know I'm at this point not amused. And then it starts raining as well.
You're just like, the world's against me. No one
just
likes me.
Let me finish this damn day and get on with the next one.
Isn't it just so glamorous? Like people talk about being a pro athlete, like. You know, you're driving around in Maseratis and sitting in hot tubs and it's just fantastic. But these are the moments that actually define the career.
Yep.
So then 2 days later, you just thought you'd give it another go. Victorious again on stage 8. Was it as glorious in that moment?
I think it was funny because stage 8 was the plan for stage 6. Like stage 8 was almost routine. Like the way the day went, stage 8 was perfect. So whereas stage 6 was just disaster after disaster and not feeling great all day until the final 30 kilometres of the race, stage 8 was everything went right the way I wanted, and it ended up just being the perfect day. And you know, taking the points the whole way through and getting the special jersey so I could ride the time trial and stand out was pretty special.
Yeah, I do want to talk about time trials a little bit later because I feel like you might be on a bit of a mission with time trials. But isn't it interesting that both days you took away a Grand Tour stage win, but both experiences were so different? That's got to give you a little bit more confidence and faith when you get on the start line and you feel crap, to know that everything doesn't have to be perfect for you to still win.
Yeah, absolutely. It helps to have everything going your way and be perfect. But it was a good learning experience, as well as you know to finally get that success, to have that I think inner confidence as well. Like I knew the numbers were there and able to achieve me a stage win, but to finally put it all down on paper and have that race result, even though I don't have a photo from the first one, which is really disappointing because like I had in my head what my stage photo was going to be and never got it captured. But
I saw the back shot and he basically made like a little love heart.
Oh,
as
that's
well.
nice.
It was really
There's a
cute.
love heart and then a point to the camera, but I could see the camera, but apparently the camera couldn't see me.
And what was the love heart for?
Oh, for my wife.
Oh, yes.
It's cute.
I just wanted to hear you say that. Is Bre your kind of not so secret weapon, Jay? Because your partnership has already in a few years become this kind of power couple in the sport.
Yeah, I think it's amusing how often we look purely on the athlete and don't look at the support structure behind it. Like you often hear like a lot of coaches get the comments about how well the coach and the aspect of the coach got the rider or got the athlete to this level. But the person that's probably there even more is the partner of the rider, or athlete. Like Bre is there 24 hours a day. Even when I'm sleeping, she's there. And I moving overseas in 2021 with COVID lockdown still sort of going on, not being a neo-pro and not having really any sort of connections to pro life, coming from NRS and being slightly of a elderly age of 25.
Stop it.
Having my wife there was, my best friend was, I don't know if I would have been able to come out as quickly and as strongly as I did. So look at all the top riders. They all have really solid family structures, and it's where the gains start, I think.
Yeah, there's so much talk about how physically demanding the sport is, but emotionally it's a heck of a ride as well, especially the longer that you're in it. Bre, what does it look like for your lifestyle? Because we know Jay spends a lot of time on the road.
Yeah.
What are the days like when Jay's there for you, and then what are the days like when he's gone?
It's a bit of a tough one. My whole purpose is just supporting Jay in everything, and we've talked about it multiple times where we're going, all these young cyclists, they don't have the support of having someone to, you go out, you go do your training, and then you come home and you have to either go shopping to go get your grocery food, or you have to do your washing, and you have to save that bit of energy. Jay doesn't have to do that. Is purely cleaning his bike, massaging him, cooking, cleaning, dealing with one of the multiple things that could go wrong in Europe. We've had them all go wrong.
Well, even simple, not so simple things like I was on the way to a training camp, and we walk out to the car that's parked in the car park in Girona. This was last year, and the car was parked here 3 days ago. Where's the car gone?
Oh,
so
no.
I then have to jump on a train and I'm off.
In a furious mood.
Bree's
There's a theme emerging here.
Bree's job now is to walk around central Girona to the various different police stations to then try and translate into Catalan where is my vehicle. And my job is just to get to the training camp.
Yep.
Who does that? And by the way, there's a storage fee for your car. So if I'm at a training camp for 2 weeks and I can't get it out of that adds up.
Yep.
So who does these for the So that's just an out of the blue one.
Well, I mean, it's a pretty practical one, but it does raise the question. I think that people do imagine that as pro athletes, all you have to do is ride your bike. But if you don't have a Bre, actually, you've got a lot more to do.
I genuinely don't know how all these young riders do it. If they go over without any support, no clue, they've been living at home by themselves, unless they've got a really solid head on them, I don't know how they're going to make this work.
Now, money does solve a lot of that.
Yeah, money does solve a lot of issues.
If you're on a decent salary, money can solve a lot of problems, but it's still mentally
doesn't give you a cuddle at night though when the emotions
absolutely
are
not.
tough. I mean, we talked about the highs of winning the stages of Vuelta. Unfortunately, stage 18 had other plans for you. A little bit rough. You came down exceptionally hard. There was a whole lot of blood. I can tell you on the television it was a incredibly unpleasant experience for viewers. What was it like, Bre, for you watching from home? Were you getting any information? Did you know what was going on?
Yeah, look, whilst Jay's at races, I have basically, whilst he's racing, I'm on the phone or computer watching what's happening, getting race updates, try and check all of socials to get updates. So I knew pretty quickly that he had gone down and that there was a pretty serious crash. And I went, okay, pretty big group. It sounds like a lot of riders were there. Jay's most likely gone down, and I have the rule of if he's moving, good. If he's screaming in pain, good. If he's not moving, then that's when I need to call the mum and go, we need to go overseas right now. Let's go. But yeah, I saw the notifications on Twitter. Jay's mum was messaging me going, Jay's gone down, Jay. And it was instantly just try and get as much information as possible. I had someone, I don't think people recognise that I do check Instagram for updates, and I had someone say, Jay's gone down and he hasn't gone up and he's not conscious. And I've had it twice now of people have messaged me going, he's dead. He's killed himself. And
so I don't understand if that's a mistranslation.
I don't know.
Mistranslating from some other language, but
I'm going to assume it is.
But it's unnecessary regardless.
Yeah, he's
right?
dead. Like,
Like it's for instant. Like, I'm so sorry, Bre. Like, my condolences, and you're like, excuse me, what?
It's so tough, isn't it? I think that I remember that Bradley McGee's mother used to turn her back at the velodrome. She'd be there, but she couldn't even watch because she'd seen so many bad accidents where he hadn't moved quickly enough, and her nerves were just fried. So, like, there's a lot that can be said about your experience through that. What were you thinking? What's the first thing you can remember thinking when you stopped flipping around and could see all that blood?
It was, wow, that was a good run.
Oh.
Hadn't hit the ground since Norway, so I'd gone 30 days or something without touching the asphalt.
Is a pretty good trot in cycling sometimes.
Yes. So that was pretty good. But the next thought was, all right, where's the bike? That's when I realised, well, my foot was through some spokes, so I had to try and sort that out. And then leaning back on my left hand, I just couldn't put any weight through it, and that's when I was like, oh, okay, my glove's wet. And it's red wet, so that's not a good sign. And then once I put my hand on it, I couldn't take my hand off my wrist. So it was The director said as soon as he saw me, he was like, okay, he's not getting up from this. It's just disappointing because Bre, maybe we were premature, but we'd booked accommodation for Bre to come to Madrid. So she was, in preparation of, working out her routes to get down there, all these little things, and all had to get cancelled. So.
It's actually funny because you said, like, you were talking about how exciting it is, and like obviously when we're talking and having our pre-race briefs, right, we go, all right, don't get too excited, like this could all fall away. And Jay made the comment of, look, Bre, it could be a good thing if I lose the jersey. It will teach me how not to lose the jersey in future.
No.
And
you should tell the full story. You like to put a positive spin on everything.
Okay, yes, I do.
Like I will drop my coffee, and you'll be like, but Jay, it's okay because you didn't drop it on the carpet.
It's okay. I'll clean it up, honey. It's no big deal. Just relax.
Yes, Bre, but that's not the point. I still dropped the coffee. So I was like...
Take mine.
Yeah, it's the yin and the yang of it.
The positives of me crashing out of the Vuelta and losing the jersey right now is I learned to live with it. Yes, I didn't expect to actually have to learn that lesson.
You may have been sarcastic at the time and
building
life
resilience.
Just went, nope. Oh, you think it'll be good, Jay, do you? Huh?
Well, I mean, look, it's just a roller coaster of emotions, right? Like from fear, oh my gosh, there's blood everywhere, to annoyance because now you've got all these plans that are scuppered, to just athletic disappointment. Going on at the same time, unbeknownst to us, because this is how the cycling world works, your mind was already jettisoning ahead to the UAE to change teams.
Yes.
How exactly does that happen? Like, are you at a tour and somebody comes and taps you on the shoulder and says, we've got big things planned for you? I mean, how did that even come about?
If only.
If only. No one approaches you, especially if you've got a contract at races. That's the thing. And the other amusing thing is most people who did contact my agency staff didn't respect the results until after they'd sort of already happened, and the numbers didn't get that much better, the watts per kilo and everything, post Norway. Like, they got a little bit better, but it wasn't substantial. And a bunch of the teams were at Norway, beat a bunch of the teams and their riders, but didn't really pay attention until after the Vuelta stages, by which stage it was all well and truly wrapped up. So it's quite amusing how undervalued, like, we're a numbers-based sport, but how undervalued numbers are if they're not done in the correct context. Like, if you were to do Tour de France winning numbers at national champs in Australia and Buninyong, you might not get a contract out of it because who'd you beat?
This is interesting. You're so analytical the way you approach it, I think that actually puts you in a different category to the vast majority of the athletes out there.
In 2021, I didn't bother going down to nationals when Cameron Meyer, I think, won his second champs, because it's like, what's the point? There's no recognition. There's no my career with a 1-year contract as a neo pro begins in Europe. Alpecin aren't going to re-sign me if I come third at national champs in Buninyong. I need to do well in Europe to show them that I deserve an extension. So I completely skipped the national champs. It's really difficult for riders in Australia with the NRS Road Series, because Powertina, the NRS is down in Tasmania as we speak. I'm pretty sure they're doing Powertina again.
It's been washed away.
Yeah,
so it's the biggest. It's 16-kilometre climb in the Tour of Tassie.
Yeah.
It got washed away in the middle of October, so they're not going up that.
Right. Oh, heartbreak.
Well, okay. Last time they did Tour of Tasmania, they did Powertina. Richie Port knows that climb very well. If you do 6.5 watts per kilo up there, no one will care. That is how silly this sport is. We've got a really good way of measuring athletes' ability to perform, and unless it is in front of the right people at the right time with the right competition, it's...
But it's also the emotional attachment to a specific race. It might not be a big race.
Yes.
And it might just be a small one that the DS one time did it and it was a super hard race and you remember it from 20 years ago. And then they'll go, we'll sign you because you did well at this race, so you must be strong, where the numbers is the easiest way to judge.
Hearts over minds to a degree.
Yeah.
Which is why the Zwift Academy is so good in a sense, because pure watts per kilo, pure numbers is what they look at to select the finalists.
So you got your first pro contract, obviously, off the back of winning Zwift Academy in 2020. Did Zwift turn you into an analytical numbers person, or is that why Zwift suited you? Because that was just something that worked really well for you and was really tangible, plus a big opportunity.
Well, coming from the mountain bike, the competition in Australia, it literally goes from, you'll be racing in, the open category, which is a category of, 50 people, and, finishing 45 minutes behind the winner, to there's only like 3 guys that are racing, that are possibly in contention for the win, and they're within, 10 or 15 minutes with each other. So you spend a lot of time riding by yourself. And the only metrics I had were heart rate, speed, Strava segments. So I just naturally became a fan of, pacing myself across 4.5 hours and, that sort of thing, which didn't really lend me very well to road cycling when I started out, because I just went, what do you mean? Why are we all going so slow? Let's get on the front and start riding. And
it would have been a bit boring, I guess.
I lost so many races.
You're a little bit of a contradiction, because on one hand, you're so analytical and it's just about hard numbers. It's a very black and white kind of approach. But the moment that you start talking about your wife, you go into this delightfully grey area of emotion, which is lovely. That's a compliment, by the way. Do you think it helps that you have those two really distinct sides, and when you can go to a race, you can be a bit more mechanical and black and white, and then you can unpack it with Bre, but the two don't really have to cross? Does it help you make better decisions on the bike?
I don't know if it makes me help better decisions on my bike, but we got into cycling together. So we both bought road bikes basically within a month apart of each other. We both started mountain biking together. Because I wasn't any good at properly racing marathons, we decided to, do pairs. And
there's a pairs marathon?
Yeah, pairs marathons,
Yeah.
pairs 7 hours, stuff like that, just so we could, stand on the podium and win a category.
Thanks, Davey Sprocket.
And apart from that, during training, Bree's basically on my wheel for, I'm going to say 75% of the time I've been on a bike. So, it's, we even tried an air hub so that, when I'm not going flat out in an effort, Bree could ride beside me and we could actually talk.
It's really hard to do so.
So Bree knows that side of me. We've my best training partner. So being able to then take that into the racing, when Bre and I are talking about tactics and all that sort of stuff, we know she knows what I'll be thinking, how I'll be thinking, and all that. So it's. I
think it's also the pre-race and pre-race pre-briefs and the debriefs as well. It's just hand in hand. You have the numbers and we go off that and we're able to go, this is the course, this is what it looks like, these are the important parts. But we do both, where we go, okay, fantastic. How'd you go in the race? Was it good? What did you do wrong? What did you do well? How was your numbers? How'd you feel? And then it's, could you change anything? Do you need work on anything? And then it's finishing up with something positive as well and going, okay, let's reflect on it and talk about it. It's like a normal...
Bre almost got to the point where she was talking to my coach for me.
It's a very structured, balanced, long-term approach. It gives you the best chance of not overcooking yourself physically or emotionally along the way. You said that it almost sounded like you were describing that teams are a bit backwards in how they're approaching talent management, and for you it should be more about numbers than it is about some performances or who you beat, etc. Was that something that really factored in with UAE? Do they have a modern approach that matches the way you approach your training and your racing?
For the first part of my build so far, I'm working with UAE for January, obviously, and so far it's looking really, really positive. I've basically got almost to the gram protein measured out for me and sent to me, changed on a weekly basis depending on the training loads that I'm doing. It's only been 3 weeks, so we'll see how long.
Oh, wow. Are you working with Kevin Poulton there, the Australian?
I'm not working with him directly, but I did meet him. But it's pretty, and I mean it has to be if you're wanting to go for grand tours and 1%ers count over the course of 3 weeks, you have to have everything absolutely dialed. But in the same respect, you can't just be about the numbers for every athlete. A Tim de Klerk is not going to shine pure numbers-wise or results-wise. So how do you find that sort of rider? You do need to go down to basics and have a look at these smaller .1 races in Belgium or France or wherever to find those athletes, because their watts per kilo aren't going to be very good. But I think everyone will agree, Tim, he's been crucial for a lot of quick step victories over the last 10 years. So, there's got to be a medium with the type of rider you're looking for.
Yeah, well, I mean, speaking of riders of the caliber like yourself, that is all about numbers and watts and mountains, pretty much, and time trials.
Mountains, yeah.
We can't not talk about Pogacar. I mean, have you hung out with him? Yeah, you guys doing Insta Reels or TikToks or something?
No, I haven't done anything like that. I hope nothing comes out from that. But I've hung out with him. He's pretty cool guy. It's pretty surreal, having a beer with a Tour de France winner, especially when he's 4 or 5 years younger than me. But the way cycling works, the Palmares speaks for itself. So I'm there wanting to learn as much as I can from this guy who's only just been legal to drink in America.
Oh yeah, I hadn't thought about that.
Yeah.
Very young. But there's a few things to it. We were pretty nervous about having Jay go to UAE. You don't know a team until you join, right? We didn't fully know what Alpecin was going to be like. We joined and we went, okay, we're going to make it work. And there was some really, really good things about them, and there was some things that didn't line up with us. But joining UAE, you're always going to have good things and bad things. And getting off the phone after talking to Jay, after meeting the team and having these initial chats, we've just been so relieved. You sound so happy with these guys, and they're all so experienced and willing to share and talk and give advice, and all the right vibes so far. It's been pretty special.
Yeah. Every team's a bit different culture-wise. What was Alpecin like compared to your short experience so far with UAE, is there a big difference in both how the riders interact and also what the team expects from you?
The Alpecin was very small team. You know, they did come from a cyclocross team, so they were very small, family orientated. So, and a lot of the riders speaking Dutch, they were very, I think, integrated, but also super professional. Like we were, we'd known Millier was off to Quick Step for months at this point of the Vuelta, and everyone was still so motivated to get him a win at the race. And the camaraderie on the bike, like we'd spent probably by that point 5 or 6 weeks together after altitude camp, and part of the Vuelta itself. The team was really, really like well knitted together. Really enjoyed that race. It was I said it in multiple interviews, but I say it again. It was the funnest 18 days, or 17 and a half days I'd had at the races in Europe to date. It was incredible, and you don't just get that because of the race results from myself, but trying new things and doing the lead outs. Everyone was super motivated. So I haven't been in a race environment with UAE yet, but it'll be interesting to see what happens there. I've socially hung out with them, and they're all really great guys. So
did Alpecin know you were leaving at the Vuelta? You did, but did they?
Well, that's the thing. There seems to be a bubble that I'm not a part of. That everyone knew that I was leaving. That I didn't even know that everyone knew that I was leaving.
The rumour mills.
Yeah. Oh, it was
but
serious.
There's 3 bubbles. There's the Twitter bubble. There's the actual riders in the peloton bubble, and then there's the media bubble. And none of them seem to share information with each other.
Well, look, I think Twitter's about to explode, so we can get rid of that bubble.
We can just mute that from town.
You've gone from essentially being really well known on the NRS level domestically, especially with your step into Zwift, to really being in the eye of the media, and that's both of you have become very popular with fans, with media. There is, of course, a bit of a rough negative side to that. You are a self-confessed introvert, which I like. Bre, I think we align on a little bit of social awkwardness.
Very much.
How do you find living your life so publicly, and how quickly that's changed?
One of the reasons why the off-season has been so good is because I've been able to sort of disconnect from a lot of things,
Unplug.
I've, Bree's often gone, "Oh, Jay, you should, do a post."
I'll draft this up.
If I'm not wanting to share something, or if I don't feel like it's interesting, I'm not going to just post, a photo to just say, "Oh, it's Monday," So, that's why I shared the stuff about my concreting or my, I'm starting training again, stuff like that.
The concreting was interesting.
Yeah.
I didn't know what you're making, but it looked looked almost therapeutic.
Yeah, we're making a retainer wall. So
there you go.
Lots of, I think we've moved close to 3 meters worth of concrete 3 times, because it goes from the trailer to the mixer to the wheelbarrow to the wall. But yeah, it's from Bree's side. I don't know how you've found it, but I hate it. To be honest,
it's really hard. We knew trying to go professional would put us in the spotlight, and obviously Jay would have to work on media relations, and he actually got a lot of help from his old team Nero. Chris and Luke did amazing talking to Jay of how talk on the camera and to deal with being an introvert but try and be vocal. I think the hardest part is we can never explain all the logic behind what we're doing. There will always be someone who just does not get it, and they'll be like, "Nah, you're wrong. That's unhealthy. You're not smart. You're doing the wrong things. Why is your power not on your Strava, Jay? How dare you?" And
why don't you just take the Kutha KOM back, Jay?
After
only riding for 2
sorry.
weeks.
That's a legitimate question, Jay.
I've
Why
only been riding
don't
for 2
you
weeks.
take the Mount Kutha KOM back?
I've only been riding for 2 weeks. It's
Oh,
like,
all right,
He's had
okay.
to enjoy his off season.
not
It is.
possible.
There are a lot of kind of judgments, aren't there?
Yeah.
People thinking that they know what could be a little bit better for
Yeah.
you.
And it's I think we can only look at it as people are invested because we've been so open and we knew that would be a thing. We've been so vocal and so banging the drum to get Jay overseas. So we did the Vine show and everything back in the e-racing.
dubbed by
Matt Keenan. Matt Keenan, thanks. So we did all that to be the squeaky wheel to get noticed so we could try and propel ourselves in. And it did work. Like there has been lots of benefits from doing that and we've been able to get lots of support, but there is always going to be that negative side. And like, for example, Jay taking time off the bike, people were like, why? Why would you be doing that?
Are you going to be ready for nationals?
You can't do that. And it's they're obviously concerned and wanting you to do well, but I don't think people understand just the whole factor. Like it's a Swiss cheese effect. You need to factor in things. And like the Kuta KOM, Jay's had multiple times off a week.
It's going to become a joke.
Oh, mate.
It is
It's
pretty
a joke at
amusing.
home. But it's all well and good. Like people are going, go, do it. But it's like, well, am I going to cook myself trying to do this Kuta KOM?
Cooking themselves is not even a question.
Well, you
I
can't
will
do
not
it
get
right
it.
now. Yeah, right now.
Guarantee. I can't even get my time again.
I mean, you make
the
a
moment.
living out of cooking yourself. So it's when you're looking at, racing with UAE and we have a big thing, like it's kind of world cycling, but it's certainly a fascination amongst Australian fans and media, is that they tell you that your priority should be the Tour de France. So they do it all the time. When riders, like Cameron Meyer copped it a lot when he sort of didn't even really want to be a road Grand Tour rider, but they were like, but you should want to. Why is something more important than that?
Yes.
So what is it for you? Is it the Tour de France or is there something that you would just really love to kind of get your hands around and achieve?
For me, the Tour de France, obviously it's the biggest race in the world. Let's put that aside. Right now, I don't think there's any point in me going to the Tour de France. We have, at UAE, we have, I think, a really good squad. Pogacar, he's all right.
Yeah, he goes all right.
He goes all right,
He can put some watts out. No big deal.
I think we have a really good squad to do well at that race. But aside from the Tour de France, there's, 25 other World Tour events throughout the year. And for me, I love to do well in my home country of Australia, with the Nationals, the Down Under, the Cadels. I remember, and it is in the race, which I'm so happy about, the corkscrew, watching Cadel Evans go up the corkscrew to win that stage into Campbelltown, I think it is. That is really looking forward to that stage. But besides that, I went to Italy for the first time this year, and I would love to do the Giro. The amazing climbs through the Alps. I think I'm yet to do a proper mountain day, where you go over a famous peak, and then you go over another famous peak, and then you finish on a famous peak. That doesn't happen. Well, I haven't done that in the 2 Vueltas that I've done yet. So, to be able to do a Stelvio or ride through Rome or something crazy like that, the cycling fan, inner cycling fan of myself, watching, Nibali and all those guys in the Giro is, and Dumoulin, the guy won the pink jersey and finished second in the Tour and the Giro in the same year. Those sort of riders I really do identify with, and I'd like to have an ounce of talent like that and results like that.
Oh, I think you've got the talent. You've got to give yourself to have the time. Although Dumoulin's got about 15 kilos on you, so
Yeah, just
so the power numbers might look a little bit different.
Well, when I was
there.
watching him on TV, I probably equaled him.
You
but
were probably equal, at that time.
Oh, yeah,
Maybe
you-
not the watts per kilo.
You
but
Yes.
chunked on a few kilos in the offie, didn't you?
Oh that was
Was it something like
Perfect.
8 kilos? Is that
8
what I
kilo.
heard?
Yeah. I
That
can
is solid.
I can eat a lot of brownie.
yeah.
How do you get rid of the brownie though? You just get back on with it?
You just don't eat
Calorie
the brownie.
Yeah.
You just don't eat the brownie.
Yes.
I think there's our nutritional advice.
Yes.
Don't eat the brownie, guys.
Don't eat the brownie. And I've just been told by Merxy, that's what we call the producer, director here, Merxy. It's a good name, right?
Yeah, I like it.
That you're only 2 seconds off the Mount Cootha KOM. So I understand you haven't been training for it this year, but next year we'll be getting in touch to see if we can do that. And I believe that Merxy did it sub 10 minutes. So, you know, you've got some stiff
I think
competition
you might have
around
me on
here.
that. I haven't been out to Cootha since I started training yet. So
It is. Well, look, it's not quite the Poggio or Stelvio or something like that. And those big climbs, they are iconic, aren't they? When you grew up, and this is definitely a question for both of you, who was like the rider that you wanted to emulate?
Dude, we got to cycling so late. Like, we're talking, what? When
2014,
Rich,
we watched the 2014 Tour de France. I got my Tour de France guidebook,
Yeah.
and it had Mark Cavendish on the front, and I was like, that guy, he's the rider.
Cavendish.
Mark
And
Cav,
then he
yeah.
crashed day one of the tour, and I was like, I thought I knew everything. I was like, this guy's going to win the stage, and he's going to get no.
You were heartbroken.
I was
You didn't know.
heartbroken.
But he's, I mean,
Absolutely heartbroken.
there's been plenty of moments for you to celebrate his victories since then.
Absolutely.
yes.
Well, it was a crazy experience. He was in the first race I raced in Europe. He was in Tour of Turkey, first race.
What
And-
was
You were
that
so
like?
nervous. You loved it.
Well, he spoke to me. I spoke to him after
Working out for courage.
8 days of trying to work up the courage to say hello.
We had multiple phone calls being like, Jay,
You should just ask him.
Go talk to him.
chat
He's-
him.
a nice guy.
What did you say after 8 days?
Well, just congrats! It's great to see you back at your winning ways, and yeah, it's awesome to be a big fan. Awesome to be in the same race as you, and no, he was
fangirl, introvert.
really, really cool. And you know, for us, I guess for me, there was a few riders. I love Gilbert. I love Gilbert and how he nearly won all 5 monuments. Love that. But I love Nibali and how he's won all 3 Grand Tours as well as, you know, sprint monuments, you know, basically. Well, I was discussing with Bre, I was in the last race with Valverde and Nibali. I
That's pretty cool.
Wow.
don't think there's many things on the calendar that they haven't won. Like, I think we've covered a lot.
And
So-
your first race was with Mark Cavendish. That's
Yeah.
pretty cool. Well,
That's pretty well done.
I mean, Cav's the only one left. Don't happen to know what team he's going to, do you?
You're so out of the
I
bubble.
think a team in Europe.
A team. Oh, come on now. It's
No
become
idea.
it's
No one
become
talks
a
to me.
frustration in here because I'm like, I love Cav, but now he's just driving me crazy.
Yeah,
like,
you're
can
like,
somebody
make him
tell
mine.
exactly?
Yeah.
Well, he's the British national champ. Surely a French team with an automatic invite to the Tour de France will pick him up.
I know. Well,
It would
B
make
and-
sense.
B&B are running out of budget, so they need to do some work there.
Maybe it's because of Cat.
Oh, could be. We like a good conspiracy theory in here too. Let's go back to where the pro journey began, because esports remains a big part of both of your lives. In fact, that's how I first met you, Bre. Well, met, I guess, is one way to
Virtually,
say it.
it counts.
Virtually. Talking to you about the upcoming World Championships, which was last year. What drew you to Zwift in the first place? Because you were both really early adopters and became kind of the poster girl and boy for esports in Australia before most people even knew what it was.
Well, it was really odd. It was, to be honest, just because work schedules. We lived in Canberra. We were both in office jobs at the time. I worked at Hayes Recruitment, and it was a early start, so they were really expecting us to be there 7:30, if not a bit earlier.
7:30 to 5:30 or something?
Yeah,
That is an early start.
It wasn't for me, that job. Learned lots from it, though. It was really a good character building.
Lost a lot of hair as well.
Yeah, lots of stress. Not much has changed in my current job with you. Like, I think I'm still losing just as much hair. But yeah, it was just so we could do our training. We really liked it because it was. Before when we were doing our numbers, it was all about hitting the power numbers. It was either you did it or you didn't. And that was for training. And it just worked so seamlessly with what we were doing. And like we just set up a really good Zwift room. Like you guys just had a picture up before of our house in Harrison, and we had just a pure dedicated Zwift room, and it was perfect to just jump on the bike, get the training done, and then head off to work. And like Canberra, you had roos, you had everything. Like we had the bushfires, we had the dust, we had just all the normal traffic and problems. So Zwift was the answer for us.
The kangaroos, is that what you're flagging as an issue for training in Canberra?
It was genuinely.
For what we were doing at the time of riding, well, eight like you heard, 8:30 starts, 5:30 finishes. During winter with daylight savings, you're riding in the dark. So if you're wanting to go up and down a Black Mountain or Ainsley or something like that,
and you're normally hitting about 60 k's
I think I know
an hour, 70 k's.
five people personally who've hit roos on one of those mountains.
Yeah.
So,
easily.
and I personally know what it's like to fall at 80 kilometres an hour. It's not very pleasant.
No.
I'll leave that one for you. Can just tell me about it. I won't do it.
Yeah, using Zwift as that, alternative is, really great. Plus, as you can see, we did do a lot of training together.
Yeah.
I really enjoyed during the bushfires in 2020 because during our time zone there wasn't many people racing, and we just go, all right, let's hit 4 races in a row, and Bre's job, A grade, because Bre was doing 4 watts per kilo average. Bre's job was
killing myself is what I would say I was doing there, honey.
You enjoyed
myself.
it. I saw a smile, or maybe it was a grimace.
It was me crying in pain. What's your smile?
Bre's job was to try and hold on for as long as possible.
Yeah.
And I deliberately dropped myself out of the group to try and pace Bre back on.
Yeah.
It was just so fun. Like just like we were training outdoors, you would race ondoors. Yeah.
It was good fun. And it was nice because we could both do it together, and it was a different type of training as well, because it would just be racing. So you've got that cookie to chase. You can chase that. I normally have Jay to chase, but what's his cookie? Like, he can't chase a carrot or anything. So being on Zwift, it was just something really good. And we actually really enjoyed just racing. Like, we did the lamb chop.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, the lamb chop.
Just basically go as hard as you can for 40 minutes.
It was just a series every Thursday night. It was handicap race, and it would be which vine would win, and we would just battle each other.
The Vine Cup.
Yeah, it was pretty good. It was who would have to do the dishes after dinner. I always still did, but it was worthwhile. You would do some washing for me or something.
Really high stakes games.
Yeah.
When I was racing in Europe, we had this thing, the Aussie Cup. Like, it was kind of unspoken about, but it was definitely there.
Yep.
You would scour the results to see if you were the first Aussie across the line.
Oh, yes, always.
Do they still do that? Do you guys do that at all?
Maybe I'm not in that group chat.
No. Probably a group chat you can avoid, to be honest.
Maybe. I which will probably change next year. I very much enjoyed the, if it's your day to be on, you're on. But if you're, not involved in the day at all, just chill out. You actually get to look at the view. Gruppetto is really nice, especially if you're, an okay climber, because you actually get to look at the view.
Yeah, you're not boxed in straight away.
I know, you see so much of Europe, but you don't actually see it. I realised when I started commentating how beautiful a lot of these places were. I've seen them, but not like that.
Yeah.
It is really different, isn't it?
Yeah.
So esports kind of remains a thing that you guys are actively chasing. Bre, I know for you that you've had some injury, some illness, but every time you've come back, and you are absolute bang for your buck in esports. Strategy-wise, it's like you see it in slow motion playing out. Is that something that you got from day one, or have you just really worked on your tactics?
Honestly, this is one I'll pass to Jay, because we did it together. We watched each other race. We'd push up the powers, and we actually just learnt how the game operates. We applied in real life tactics to Zwift. And I think people just jump on Zwift and go, I'm just going to do the most watts I can possibly do. And it's like, okay, cool, dude, but you're on the front pushing wind. You do recognise that taking out energy for you, and people are getting a savings. And I think it was just applying the in real life tactics to it, and it's actually really good because I loved racing on Zwift. It's just something I can always go to, and it's a training goal for me every year. Like, I don't do any other races. I don't get to do any in real life racing, just obviously focusing on Jay. So being able to just go one event per year, that gives me something to train for and keep the motivation up because I like doing it. And yeah, it's just been something we've learnt together how to race on Zwift. I think that's because we've watched each other race so detailed and lots of attention.
Yeah. Are you going to keep doing it, Jay? Like, will UAE give you the bandwidth to keep chasing that, or is 2023 going to be your last crack at it?
I think one race a year is fine.
Yeah.
Yeah.
one hour once a year is achievable.
I do like that rainbow jersey on you, so you could just keep doing that.
Yeah. That it doesn't matter what you earn it in. To earn a rainbow jersey is pretty special.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, the bit you don't see with that is like the time that it took to put into to get that result. Like, we live at altitude in Andorra, so we went down to sea level to near Girona, so we had to organise an Airbnb. The amount of stuff that you need for an indoor event for 2 people, our polo was completely packed. Chockers. There was you couldn't fit a mouse in there.
We brought pedestal fans. We brought the works. Like, this was no...
You did it properly.
Yeah. We made sure we had a good setup, though.
So, like, it's not just your normal race either. You can't choose your settings that you want either. So, you know, we worked out either you're going to have to change gear, or it's front ring, change gear, or change your chain ring. So, like, we did test runs with different chain rings for Bre. Now we worked out that Bre didn't really have an option with her chain ring. She had to change regardless. So
yeah,
that ended up.
There was a few test trials.
We were going for a top 5, and we gambled for the top 5. If we played it safe, easy top 10. But you know,
well, you got to risk it for
that
a
was
biscuit.
DS. I called that change.
Yeah,
it was my bad.
Yeah, you got to risk it for the biscuit.
Yeah.
You're just like banging out these one-liners here. I like that.
That's good.
Make a little book.
But it was just it was did it perfect every other one, every other climb, everything else. But that just shows I was really cooking. I was dead on the bike, so yeah, that was a bit of a sloppy change by me. To be honest.
I mean, it's a really similar analytical approach that you have for everything. Like, you just kind of break it down and then follow the process.
Yeah.
It's quite a good way to go into things, I would say. And you know what? You're both really lucky because you get to hear me in your ear on Discord for your races next year. Isn't that super duper?
That's actually pretty good.
I
actually really enjoyed last year. I thought it was great fun.
I'll just be throwing like, come on, Bre, you got to risk it for the biscuit.
Risk it. Come on, let's go.
We could talk to you guys forever because there's so many interesting things going on. I will demand that you come back to the bunker when you're back in Australia next year. But before we go, you've got a hashtag between you. Hashtag Get Wrecked Jay. Could you tell me what that means, please?
So, yeah, this comes back to our trying to win our mixed category in a Rocky Trails 7-hour race in
mountain biking.
Mountain biking. I don't know where it was. It wasn't Awabo. It was somewhere in northern or central New South Wales somewhere. And I obviously wasn't very good at mountain biking because I get mechanicals left, right, and centre. So this race was a broken spoke on the first lap. So I shot off away from Bre, and mechanical, broken spoke, and I've gone and got the on-site mechanic to try and swap it out for me. Meanwhile, I'm there trying to take a video of Bre because...
What else are you going to do?
What else am I going to do? But also...
It's delightful to see me riding a bike, obviously. She's
the photographer mostly. I'm trying to get her in the frame. And she calls out, what's wrong? And it's a switchback climb, so she's going backwards and forwards.
At a slow pace, by the way. I had plenty of time to talk to Jay.
Well, yeah,
plenty of time.
Over the course of 90 seconds as she's come backwards and forwards down this trail, and she's like, what's wrong with you? And I've gone, broken spoke. She's come back. Can they fix it? Yes, they can. And then she's come back gone, are you going to ride again? I was like, maybe. And she's like, get wrecked, Jay.
Oh, and just like that.
Just like that, it's stuck. So,
And now it's stuck.
Yeah, it kind of just means push hard, keep going. Like, shit's going to happen.
shit's going to happen.
Yeah.
Shit's going to happen.
I reckon that belongs on a T-shirt.
Yeah.
Just saying.
Get
It's-
wrecked, shit's going to happen.
I reckon-
Trademark.
Yeah, trademark. I reckon just get wrecked Jay will
Yeah.
will do the trick.
It's actually been so cool. Like last year at La Volta, someone wrote it on a bed sheet and hung it up, and they took photos of it, sent Jay, and you saw it
I saw
in
it
the
on
race.
the road. Yep. I was just like, who's written that? Like,
How cool
I
is that?
squealed like a little girl here when I saw that photo. I thought it was the coolest thing in the world. Like just our little saying, it's just something of us, and it's a nice little reminder of where we've started, because we don't know what we're doing half the time, and we're just trying to go out there, have fun, and ride our bikes, and that's what we're doing, and that's the goal at the end of the day. It's yes, this is Jay's job, but he has to love what he's doing, otherwise there's no point. And we often have conversations going, if you're not enjoying this 70% of the time, we need to have a conversation. And yeah, like you're just having so much fun, and that's what #GetWrecked is really all about.
Love it. And
Yeah.
by the way, I don't think anybody really knows what they're doing. Don't
Yeah.
trust people who say they
Oh,
do.
yes.
It's, all right, before we go, very
my dad
quickly.
might disagree with that.
Oh, well, military background,
not
right?
my dad, my
Okay.
mum. My mum will disagree with you.
Yeah, probably.
Yeah, I think that's the defence in them. All right, Bre,
Yeah.
what race is Jay going to win next year?
Don't jinx me.
Oh, God, yeah, here. Commentator's curse.
I'm going to touch wood for you.
All right. I'm going to say if you race the Giro, a stage at the Giro would be top notch, I think.
Up a big mountain too to make it nice and romantic with the story that you've told.
I think we can do a really good pre-race brief, look at the important parts, and I think you're going to do another stage win. I'm going to call it stage win.
Yes.
Gets
For
three
Jay.
flat tires.
I like that.
Yeah,
All right,
props.
what about you, Jay? What race are you going to win next year?
Lombi. Do it.
What?
Lombardia. Lombi. That's a pretty big one.
Might go a bit closer to home. I'd say corkscrew.
Yes. Oh, that would be. See, that'd be a beautiful addition to the story
Yeah.
too.
Yeah.
That would be
I like
Very
it.
special.
His
Awesome.
family's coming to come watch as
Oh,
well.
even better.
We're going to make the trip over, so it's going to be good.
Excellent.
Yeah,
Yes.
green
Well,
bus.
No
the
pressure.
Wheelhouse will be there as well. So we will stand on the corkscrew with a Wheelhouse sign that says #GetWreckJ.
I love it. I love it.
Yeah.
That sounds pretty good. No
Guys-
pressure.
Yeah, but no pressure. Thank you so much for joining us. It's just been an absolute pleasure, and good luck, guys, for the year ahead and the years after that. But we will get you back in the bunker.
Yep, that
Thank
sounds
you for
great.
joining us.
Thank you so much for having us. It's been good.
Yes, thanks for having us.
Pleasure.
The Wheelhouse is produced by River City Studios for Listener. Executive produced by Luke Mears and the mysterious Merksy. It's written and hosted by Kate Bates and me, Joel Spreadborough.